Hey Mimi, this is Bill Cassie, and with me is Liza, my wife,
Hi.
and together we're going to change a zither string for you. Actually, she's going to do it. I'm just going to talk a little bit. She'll explain the process to you. But first, a tool that you'll need, 1 to 2 tools, is this wire cutter and needle nose pliers, but they also have needle nose pliers. You may have one in the house that has a blade right at the back of the jaw that will cut the wire for you.
You can find tools like this like at any craft store, craft department at Walmart or Target should have them. They're easy to find and very inexpensive.
So first we're going to do the unthinkable.
Going to sacrifice a wire.
I'm going to purposely cut. And the reason we're doing this is to show you how to remove it from the tuning pin. So if you want to go ahead.
Yeah, I'm removing the long piece first. I think it might be easier to take that off, get it out of the way. You want to come back over to the tuning pin. Go ahead and turn that a few times to loosen this up. And just be very careful with the sharp end of this. They are very sharp. It can pinch you. I'm taking the pliers and just unbending that short end, and then using the plier on this side to just pull it through the hole and get rid of the old wire. And then you have to do the same with the short piece that was left.
You're going to turn your tuning pins counterclockwise at this point to raise them up.
Right, and loosen the wire. And then do the same thing. Try to unbend that a little bit. Straighten that out a bit. Want to unbend that short end just a bit to pull it out and make it easier to take the old wire out. That comes out pretty easily. Now, before you put the new wire on, you need to have a ruler handy. You want to measure your tuning pin and make sure that it's sticking out about 1 inch from the instrument. And that's good there. This one needs to come up a little higher. You don't want it to be higher than 1 inch, but you want to have it, right about or just below 1 inch. And I'm going to show you how the holes are facing. Oops. You want them facing, the holes facing this way towards the hitch pins. Now that we have that ready, take the new wire. Sorry for that delay. Take an end. You're going to have a piece of wire. We sent you wire that is actually longer than this. And you'll just be cutting off what you need to put this string on.
We're going to put some more wire in the mail to you tomorrow.
Right, we're going to send you extra wire for your instrument. I'd sent you 2 gauges of wire. Let me explain that first. You're going to use the thinner gauge, the one that has the tab on it that says mid-G to high G or higher G, the upper 8 strings. That's the wire you want to use for the string you're replacing. I'm replacing one of the lower strings on this one, so I'm using the other wire. But you do both the same way. You're going to thread this through. It's like threading a needle.
The top of the 2 tuning pins first.
Yeah, always start with the top of your tuning pins. And I take it out about 2 finger thicknesses from the instrument. I'm going to take the pliers and I'm going to bend the end of the wire about 1/2 inch. we're going to bend it in 90-degree angle, the right angle. You're going to take your wire over to the hitch pin, and this is going to get wound counterclockwise. You're going over that hitch pin, wrapping it around counterclockwise. And I push down, and I take my index fingers and I just kind of pinch it a little bit there, press it together, so that will hold in a little circle around the pin. I bring the wire down to the bottom hitch pin, and now I'm going to go clockwise around this pin, and again bring it down and just kind of pinch it there. I'm actually winding a little more just to make that little circle that'll stay around the hitch pin. The wire's coming back this way. I'm going to stretch it across over to the tuning pin. Now I'm not putting it through the hole yet. I'm measuring out approximately 2 finger thicknesses, and then I'm going to cut it. Once I've got the cutter holding the wire, I'm just going to do this and snip. Set that wire aside. And now I'm going to thread it through, again like threading a needle. Just bring that wire through. Bend this at the 90-degree angle. And just release it there, and they'll hold there. We're going to start winding. You want to do your top first again. I'm turning the end of the wire downward. If you could see that, it's going to be facing down towards the instrument, and I'm bringing it up against the pin. And with the tuning wrench, I'm going to start going clockwise. It'll flip up on you. You just want to carefully just kind of push it down, hold it in place, get the wire over that end, and eventually the wire will hold the end in place.
Your goal here is to wrap the wire below the hole that the wire's threaded through. You don't want it to go above the hole, you want it to stay below the hole.
Right, if the wire goes above the hole, it's going to affect the sound, so you want to make sure that it's beneath the hole. I'm going to do it just a little more, create a slight tension, and then you have to come back over here to the hitch pin and push this down, because ideally this is going to sit down as low as possible to the instrument. I'm going to continue winding. Just do this very slowly and carefully. Just watch what the wire is doing. See, it's holding there. It's wrapped, but it's not tight yet. It's still loose, so you just want to nudge it down a bit. Wind a little bit more. These aren't big turns. I'm only doing about a quarter turn with the tuning wrench. I'll turn it a little bit more. I'm checking it over here to make sure that, the wire is below the hole. And then I'm checking spacing, because you want to make sure that it's evenly spaced. What you're going to see is a straight line going across, and the spacing will be even by the time we're done. I'm going to go down to the bottom tuning pin, start wrapping that one around. Same thing, that edge is going to pop up a little bit, so you just want to make sure that that's holding down, staying beneath the hole. That's about 3 or 4 turns there, maybe three turns. Come back over and check, see what's happening over here by the hitch pin. I'm going to push that down, make sure it stays low. I'm double checking my top hitch pin, pushing the wire down there a little bit. And that's sitting well. Just go ahead a little more. Check spacing. You see you've got even spacing here. Just tighten it up a bit more. Make sure your spacing holds. Now, let me stress that at this point you don't have your string tuned, it's just on there and it's holding its place. But you have replaced the string on your instrument. Tuning, while we're here, I'm just going to stress again, these are very minute, gentle adjustments that you make. If you come over here to the tuning pin, I don't know how this is going to sound, so that sounds good. I know you're doing an upper string, so you're just going to watch your tuner as you tune. And the adjustment, when you go to turn, you're probably not even going to see me move. The adjustment is so tiny. As soon as you feel a movement, stop. Check the tuning. See how that changed? It's a little bit higher now. And I'll do it again, just a very small, like as soon as I feel a movement, I stop. But see the difference? It doesn't take much to get it up there, to find the pitch. It is going to take more time with your upper strings. So you really want to take your time with this and be very patient. When you first put the string on, get it to where it's taut. And you'll feel the tautness when you first put the string on. You want to get it, good and taut. And just let it sit. Give it time to sit. I'm not sure how much time to tell you, but just give it a little bit of time. Go back, do another adjustment. Like I said, minute adjustment, check it. I'm doing the lower string now, so that's why it sounds different. But then let it sit a little longer. You're going to want to allow enough time for the strings to stretch out. Let me let Bill speak to this a little better. He could explain it to you.
It's brand new strings on a brand new instrument. So your instrument is already getting used to the humidity level of where you live. It's getting acclimated to its new home, which is good. And I play fiddle. And whenever I put a new string on a fiddle, it takes, for the first 2 weeks, I'm tuning it frequently. But then after about 2 weeks, I'm hardly ever tuning it at all. And when I do, it's just a minute adjustment to find pitch. Because what's happening from a physical standpoint is the string is being stretched. Then you stop the movement and the string starts to relax a little bit. So when you stop, you might have it at pitch. But then when you've stopped and left it alone, it relaxes a little bit, so it falls back out of tune. Then you tune it up again, very minute movements, and then let it go, and it's taut again, and then it'll start to relax again. And eventually, after enough times of doing this, it's going to find its home as far as where pitch is and its ability to stretch. And then your instrument should basically just pretty much stay in tune, and once in a while, maybe once a week or twice a week, you might have to take 1 or 2 strings and make a minor adjustment before you play. You'll notice that in an orchestra with violinists and cellists and stuff, that every time they stop between movements of a concerto or a symphony, they take a moment to retune. It's a common phenomenon for string instruments. So, but Liza has her own Zither over there, and she hardly ever has to tune it
I was going to say.
beyond a minute adjustment to one or two strings now and then. And the feedback we've gotten is that, you know, everybody has the same experience. It just has to play in, is the term most musicians use. And once it does, it'll find home and it'll find pitch, and then you'll be all set. And just when you take it out, you can check it, and you might have to adjust a string or two now and then, but your instrument will basically stay in tune for you.
Yeah, when I'm initially stringing these instruments, I'll put the strings on and I'll get them, like I said, to where they feel taut, so that they're having a chance to, you know, stretch and ease in. And I'll set them aside. You know, later on in the day, I'll come back, I'll start the tuning process, and I'll go through the whole instrument, set it aside, let it rest for a little bit, come back, do it again. And that process takes me a couple of days, I would say, of just being, you know, just gently tuning it in. That's the initial process before we send the instrument to you. Since you're replacing a string, you're probably going to want to do that same process. Put your string on so that it's, you know, good and taut and in place. Let it sit, come back and start gently tuning it, you know, step at a time, and you should be fine.
Yeah. And the advantage of having this video is that you're obviously not going to probably remember every step of the way through this, so you just play the video over and over again until you have it in your mind. But most musicians eventually learn to perform a certain amount of minor maintenance on their instruments, just to keep them up, and they learn just like you're learning, just from trial and error and having the need arise by a string breaking or something. So hopefully this will clear the way for you to be able to change your string and be able to maintain your instrument. We build them with the hopes and the intention that it'll last many generations and provide fun for you. But if you have any other questions, you know how to reach us. So good luck, Mimi. Take care.
Take care, Mimi.
Thank you.
Good night.